Andrew Nussbaum. We call
Morning.
him Drew. A great friend, works for the Department of Tourism and has done a 3-part series for us around customer service, hospitality, and we really do appreciate that, Drew.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you so much.
Hey, good morning. No, I really do appreciate you being here. How many of you have been here through one or two of the last presentations? Okay, this is kind of the closer of what we've talked about previously. You'll see some, there's some things I've thrown in here for those of you that haven't been here before, so I'll hit on a couple of things that you've seen. But this really, this is the part that, while I love the hospitality, I love the customer service, that's my passion. I also love nuts and bolts, and this gets us back to, and granted there's going to be a very strong tourism component to this, but that'll explain itself as we go through it as well, because one of the things that I talk about heavily is the connection between tourism and economic development and how that does relate to more people coming to our communities and, quite frankly, more cash coming in. How do we capture that money? How do we keep it coming back on a regular basis? There's a lot in here, and it be a little different from the previous presentations. There's a lot of stuff in here. If you would like a copy of this when we're all done, I'm more than happy, as I've been in the past, to email you this whole presentation. And I can send it to you in a PDF form so you've got all the slides, but there's a lot of stuff in here. This is information that I use on a lot of different levels. I use it with main streets, I use it with downtowns, I use it with corporations, I've used it with hotels. Tourism organizations actually just use this in a county with a county-based tourism organization as they're kind of reforming their focus on how it is they want to promote. But at the same time, they're also, as Tawana mentioned, working with their businesses really on positioning their businesses so that there's some uniformity and some understanding of critical mass, and we'll go through a lot of those things this morning. Kind of to bring you up to speed, I guess, as far as the tourism component and why I talk about that. Now, one of the things, obviously, as you know, I work for the Department of Tourism. I love this state. The things I get to do, the place I get to go, the people I get to meet is pretty fantastic. Last night we did a Facebook Live episode, and one of the questions was, what's your favorite thing to do in Wisconsin? There's a loaded question for a tourism guy. And I said, well, you got 72 counties. I can give you one thing at least in every county. I can probably give you 10. And quite frankly, there's a lot of things I've never even seen yet. I come across stuff every day I had no idea we had. And it's all because I meet somebody that says, have you ever seen this? Have you ever gone out and been here? No, I didn't even know you had that. Come on, let's go. And, it always opens my eyes. The part that always surprises me is the closer I get to home, it seems to be the least I know. I can go to the South Shore of Lake Superior and it's like, I know all these cool spots. I can be in my own backyard and somebody, did you know we had this? No. Why? Because just like everybody else, what's the first thing you do when you take time off? You get the heck out of town, right? You go somewhere else. You don't always focus what's in your backyard. We have been really pushing to make sure that not only are we a Midwest destination, but as we have focused on our main core markets, which are Madison and Milwaukee in the state of Wisconsin, as far as promoting our state, because we still know the basis of who comes here to our towns, to our counties, to our state, are people within our state. Day trippers, if you will. And a lot of those are overnight. When you realize it's 6 to 7 hours from one corner of the state to the other, we definitely have vacation opportunities right here in Wisconsin. But as we've gotten into Chicago and Minneapolis and St. Louis, it doesn't stop there. We notice in the Chicago market, we've been really able to have huge growth out of Indiana and Ohio and Pennsylvania. As we've gotten into the St. Louis market, Southern Illinois and Kentucky, we see those numbers coming. We see people coming here. And the feedback has really been quite phenomenal. The other thing that's quite phenomenal, quite frankly, is the growth. There was a goal set several years ago that by 2020, we wanted the tourism industry to be a $20 billion industry. We hit it in 16. That was, yay us, but yay you. It was everybody in the state that let that happen. It was the economic development here that happened. It was the tourism that happened, the workforce. As of 17, officially at the end of the year, we had hit 20.6. So that is a 40% growth in tourism and people coming here since 2011. That is huge. Now you're talking serious dollars and cents. Now, the caveat to that, and we'll get to more of that as we get longer through the morning here, is 2.9 unemployment. How many of you need employees? Everybody fully staffed? Yeah. That's the tough part. 2.74 statistically are unemployable. Now that sounds tougher than I mean it to sound, but just when you look at who's unable to work for whatever reason, age, retirement, etc., you've got about this window. So what we're seeing is we've got this great growth in tourism and hospitality. We're also finding that razor-thin employment opportunity. So it's more important than ever that we really talk about find Wisconsin, visit Wisconsin, fall in love with Wisconsin. We'll go through a little more of that. Sauk County does phenomenal. I realize we're literally standing on a county line here, but this whole area over here has really been phenomenal in the growth. Of course, we know that we've got one extremely large attraction in Sauk County, which is that beast to the north of us, right? The thing called the Dells that nobody wants to talk about, right? Look at that. She's over here right now going, oh, the Dells. Here's the thing I tell everybody about the Dells, and Todd will laugh about this one. You have a captive audience of people to preach to. Sometimes it's great when you have millions of people right in your backyard. You don't have to figure out, geez, where do I need to go send our message? Well, they're there. 3 million people at Devil's Lake State Park. You know, and then again, you've got a couple $1 billion of economic impact in Madison. You're wedged right in the middle of all of this wonderful economic activity that's going on here. So Sauk Prairie is sitting at ground zero as far as I'm concerned when it comes to welcoming people in. And then you add in things like the Great Sauk Trail coming through. I mean, all of these things are compounding where our success is going to go. Pretty exciting as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it was when we were at the ribbon cuttings, the groundbreaking, you know, for 15 years sat there and watched these meetings about, is this trail really going to happen? And all of a sudden it does, and you go, wow, how did it get here? That's pretty cool. Now what are we going to do with this? But a little bit of an introduction really as far as, you know, what is today going to be? Today is really about the economic development activity aspect of it. How do you, excuse me, as successful business owners and operators and employees, help to position your business to fit into that model that is tourism? It is one of the fastest growing economies. Obviously not only here in Wisconsin, but we know that the economy in tourism, people are traveling more. As the cost of fuel has stayed comfortable, you know, that below 3, maybe it'll be over 3 in a little bit, but it's still at a comfortable level. People still want to travel. And here's the thing that really, and I'll show you some more data on Wisconsin. When you talk to people about why they want to come here, it comes down to 2 things: the people in Wisconsin and the culture of Wisconsin. And under that culture is it's a safe place to go, it's a cheap place to go. We don't always think about that, but you know, when you look at some of the major markets, some of the other destinations, we're a very affordable place to go. And for families that are looking for a place to go, this is an affordable place. It's also a safe place. Look at all the things that have happened around the country, the very unfortunate things. They're not happening here. You know, knock on wood. You know, we never know when bad things can happen, but they don't. For the most part, we know that Wisconsin, you know, people respect Wisconsin as this wonderful place to go see people. Now, if tourism is up 40% and at $20.6 billion, I want to make sure you're getting your cut. That's the key thing for me. That's my job. I work for you. Raise your hand if you're a taxpayer. Thank you. I appreciate this job. It is my job to make sure that you're getting your cut of what you deserve. And it's out there, and people are ready to spend with you. But things have changed. Things are definitely, there's some cultural aspects that are changing. There's some demographic aspects that are changing, and definitely the marketing side of things. And not just from a tourism perspective, but you'll see when we get to some of these in a minute. You know, as people come into our state, they see a sign, open for business, welcome. We want to make sure that that really is impactful, that when they get here, that really means the same thing in our town, in your county, in your business, that when they walk in the door, they truly get that feeling that you're here for them, and yes, we want your money. We'll be nice to you. We love you. Please come back often, and when you come here, don't forget to bring a lot of money, because we really like money. Who likes money? Everybody like money? I see a lot of smiles in here, yeah. I've worked for poor people. I love working for rich people. It works well. We want money. So we want to focus on that part of it. One of the pieces of the puzzle here, and I mentioned the 2.9 unemployment, who has a now hiring help wanted sign out right now on your business somewhere? Okay. Is it working?
It's tough.
Okay. So theoretically the answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have a help wanted sign? Marquee, big banners? Okay. I'm on a mission to get these signs out. Because if we start here with welcome to Wisconsin, we love you, we want you, come here, and the first thing that we inundate people with is now hiring. Unfortunately, statistically, we've already done the research on this, and this essentially tells people, we don't have enough employees, we can't take care of you, no disrespect, we're mismanaged, we can't get the right people. And we know that's not the case. We know at 2.9% unemployment, it's tough. You nailed it. It's tough. Unfortunately, for people who are not in business, who just come to your business to buy things, whether it's services or product, they don't care. And especially if they've been out of the market for a while, out of the workforce, they don't know. They don't realize. So we got to be very careful with this now hiring. And I'll talk more about the signage aspect of this and how we can transition that into a different message. If Wisconsin is such a great place to visit, how do we know? Can we prove that this is a great place to visit? Because I can stand here and it sounds like I'm doing a campaign speech this morning, and I'm not. How do we know that this is a great place to visit? Well, don't you love PowerPoints with boring graphics in it? Here's all you need to know about this boring graphic. The red line, or the black line on here, if you've never been to Wisconsin, what do you think of Wisconsin? And we got the scores. And all the scores were good. They were very good. And then we asked the same people, once they'd been to Wisconsin, that's the red line, you experienced us. You had the realized perception, the realization you came here, you saw what you were anticipating. What do you think of us now? In every category that we could throw at people who had never been to Wisconsin before, we exceeded in every category, as a state, as a society, as a people. Think about that as your business when you're selling your product or your service. If everything you have, perception becomes a better reality, that's a wonderful world we live in. So to promote this state and promote your businesses and your destinations and your towns, when you're already winning, when the customer perception is we're already winning this. Now, there's the challenge. What happens when the customer knows you're going to do a great job? You have to do the great job, right? There's no wiggle room. How many of you walked into, and I won't use names, but you've walked into maybe a fast food place late at night or a convenience store somewhere late at night. What do you expect? What do you expect for service? Shaking your head no. Yes? Who said yes? Somebody said yes. Good service? Okay. You expect good. Do you always get it? Usually. In Sauk Prairie? She's good already. It's going to be a good morning with you. You're not sure? No? Okay. Little hesitation, figuring, okay, 10 o'clock drive-through, it's been a long day, I need a burger, am I actually going to get it? Am I going to get a smile? You know, if I walk into a business and go, hey, how are you? Fine. Hey, what's there to do for fun? Nothing. And unfortunately, that happens. That happens. The downside is that it does only take one person, though, to crack that egg and to set us in motion to where somebody goes, my experience in Sauk Prairie, because of that one place I stopped at 10 o'clock at night, set the whole tone. That's how tough it is in a community, especially when you've got people traveling through. When you've got people that pop in. Maybe they popped in at night, they stayed over the next morning, they went out, got some things, went and saw some attractions. We've got to make sure that if the perception is we do a great job, we have to do a great job. And then we talk about the living aspect. If it's a great place to visit, is it a great place to live? This is why the workforce comment is so important right now. If we need more people to live here because we need more people to work here, we've got to hammer it home the first time. We've got to make it so this, how many of you, your foot's nailed to the floor, you can't leave? Okay? Yeah? Got a couple. Are you planning on leaving? No.
I'm married to a farmer.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Okay? How many of you chose to live in Sauk Prairie or in this area? Okay, quite a few. How many of you can't wait to get the hell out of here? One hand. Yeah, and she's brave about, yep, whatever. Okay? And I don't mean to pick on you, but why? Okay, fair enough. Nope, we're not here to embarrass anyone. No. Yes.
I can't stand the weather, even after 10 years.
Ah, yeah. Haven't got used to that yet, huh? Thank God I like to snowmobile and ski. And ironically, if I could do those things when it's 60 degrees out, I'd like them more. But that doesn't work out. But, you know, I'm with you. As older, I'm noticing I can understand the Arizona scenario now. Let's just say that. But I love Wisconsin, and I do love winter. But for many of us, we have decided this is the place we want to live. This is where we want to raise our family. This is where we want our kids to go to school. You know, there's a reason. Now, I ask that same question. I go to a lot of high schools, and I ask kids the same question when I do presentations to high school groups. Now, here's the part that's a little sobering, is when I ask high school kids, no matter where I am in the state, about 75 to 80% of the kids, and I ask it the same exact way. I don't sugarcoat it in a room of kids. How many of you have teenagers? Okay. No point in sugarcoating questions, right? I still own, well, I own a couple of millennials and a couple centennials. Trust me, I don't sugarcoat my questions. And I ask these kids flat, I go, how many of you can't wait to get the hell out of this town the minute you graduate? 75, 80% of the hands go up. Now, realistically, is the town going to be gone in 5 years and everybody moved out? No. So we know they're not all bailing. And we know that some, even if they do, they're going to come back. But that's one of the things that does play into it as a business, as a society, as a community. Are we making the pitch to our own kids in our schools, in our community, of why we're here, why we love our community, why this is the place we want to be? And I think too often when we say, well, kids have changed. No, they haven't. We have. We have. Come on, take a look at this. If you're if the baby boomers or even the X, go back and look at pictures of 70s and 80s. I used to wear more Aquanet than my girlfriends did. Come on. We all lived through those wonderful cultural moments, okay? We've all had our decision-making things that we look back at and go, it wasn't me. I didn't do that. Okay, so we can't blame it on the millennials. We can't blame it on the centennials. We've all had cultural change. So then it brings us to the big work issue. Can we keep people here that want to work here? And that's a challenge. How many people live here but work in Madison? Live here but work in the Dells? Live here but work somewhere else? Okay, how do we get them to work here? How do we make those careers here? Do we keep businesses here? Entrepreneurship, get people that want to open up and be part of what we do every day. Well, it really does start with good planning. Okay? How many of you own a business? Got a few business owners. Okay, do you have a business plan? How long have you been in business?
This is my second year.
Good for you. And how would you describe your first 2 years of business?
Well, I just had a grand reopening, ribbon cutting.
Excellent.
I had to move to a bigger space.
Ah,
That was good.
congratulations. Excellent. Very good. What would you say has been the biggest challenge in the last 2 years?
Probably hiring staff that
Okay.
are certified in what I needed them to be certified in, because I couldn't work all the hours
Okay.
myself, so.
Okay. So it did come back to workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you able to adapt a plan anywhere that changed your hiring process? Changed the way that you were able to bring those people through your door?
Did I change?
Did you change your plan? Was there a plan at all on something on paper that you go, this isn't working, I've got to change it out?
Not really.
Not really, okay.
Social media helped a lot.
Okay.
The chamber, you can post your posting there, your job posting
Mhm.
on the chamber page, so that actually helped. I got one person from that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very good. Okay. How many of you have a long-term business plan? You've put together the next 5 to 10 years. How far does your plan go out?
We do annual as well as a 5-year.
5-year plan. Okay. How often do you change that 5-year plan?
I would say annually. When
Okay.
we look at it holistically.
Okay. Things have changed progressively, and that's the interesting part about the economy that we're in right now. I'll use an example of promoting our state. Talked about the markets, or how we tell people about who we are and where we go. Everything that we're doing to promote the state of Wisconsin right now today, we weren't doing a year ago. And the stuff that we were doing 2 years ago, we've completely abandoned. Within reason. I mean, there's still some pieces of it, but that's how much the plans have changed. So if you have a long-term plan, the toughest part sometimes is to go back and say, okay, we need to change this. How many of you work for the person that said, well, that's the way we've always done it? And then there's a going out of business sign on the wall, the way they've always done it. Okay? You've seen the going out of business signs. Why do businesses go out of business?
They don't change.
They don't change. Didn't have a plan. Okay? It's real simple. It's people and money. We need people. We need people to walk in the door and buy stuff. We need people to work for us. And in those two scenarios, we need to make money and we need to pay money to the people that work for us. It's a fairly simple model when you think about it. Sometimes we get so caught up in this huge diatribe of planning. But what we realize is we're all doing the same thing. And we need more people to walk in the door, right? We have to figure out a plan. How many of you have sat down collectively as a business community and said, okay, tell me about your plan. I'll tell you about my plan. You tell me about your plan. Let's see what your plan is like that's got you to growth in 2 years. What did you do? Those are the discussions I urge you to have as a business community, as friends. Get to know each other. Even if it's as simple as walking in her door and saying, okay, you grew enough you had to move in 2 years. What'd you do? What was your plan? Well, I didn't really have a plan. It just worked out great. Well, I want it to be part of my plan. So we do have to make sure that we identify some of these projects. Are there things you can work on as a downtown, as a community? That mall mentality. Now, people say, well, that's stupid. Malls are dying. You've been to Mall of America? I would challenge that one's not dying. If you still do it right, people will go. If you have the right model, if you bring in the right activities, if you have an interest that people say, this is something fun I want to go do, they will stick with it. Product development. You commented about not changing. Okay? Are you selling the same items today as you sold 20 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago? Are you brazen enough to say, this was one of our best-selling products, and now it's got to go? This was one of our best sales tactics, and now it's got to go. We've got to adapt. We've got to put a different plan together here. We've got to change how this is working, because the people we used to sell to, they don't come here anymore. Now we've got a different crowd of people, and the way they're researching our products has changed as well. Again, I urge you to sit down and take a look at plans like the Chamber has for how they promote the community, tourism, how they promote this community in this area. You know, talk with your economic development folks. Talk with anyone who is involved in promoting this community, promoting this area, this county. Take a look at those plans and make sure they're succinct for what you need. Keep in mind, these are folks that probably are looking at a community and going, okay, here's what we have on a list of all these businesses. Here's what I need to do to bring more people or more economic growth to our community. Is it good for you? Is it good for you? If a business comes in here and employs 1,000 people, is it good for you? Is it going to make it more challenging for you? What do you need to do if someone else comes to the table with another business? And let's say a business comes to town with 1,000 employees. They set up shop here. Now they have 1,000 people on a payroll making money. How do you position yourself the minute they walk in the door to say, we're going to talk to you? Now, I don't want to bring up a debatable topic here this morning, but everyone's pretty aware of this big, large economic plan that's going on down in Racine County right now. A little thing called Foxconn. You want to talk about some interesting discussions. Talk to small businesses in a downtown and say, potentially you're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of workers in this community over the next 2 years, and construction workers. We need to build about 25 to 30 hotels. We're going to need about 50 restaurants, which all have nothing to do theoretically with that whole Foxconn discussion at this point. This is just people being here. We need to have all this stuff here. Can you imagine the looks on the faces in a room full of folks like yourselves when we start talking about that type of economic development opportunity? Who here would like to open a restaurant? Anybody in this room? Anybody restaurant? You'd like to open a restaurant? How would you like to have a place where they need 30 of them, and there's more customers than you could possibly ever deal with? You just got to have a plan and go in and put the business together and figure out what type of restaurant it should be, because there's going to be 30 more of them probably within the next year coming up around you, and maybe hotels surrounding you as well. I mean, when you think about it, isn't it kind of awesome? Whether you love the discussion of Foxconn or you hate it, that's a real discussion. It's a real discussion, and I love the excitement of people who go, I want to build something. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but I want to build something. And then you see the people who are really passionate, have an experience with making that money, and they sit down and they go, we're going to put that plan together now. And I want to break ground in 6 months, and I want to make this happen. And I want it to look sharp. I don't just want to just build it out of popsicle sticks. I want to be here for a long time. I really want to be part of this community. That's pretty exciting stuff. But you have to know what the full plan is. You have to know when people are coming, when they're going to be there, and that's where it comes into teamwork. You do have to work together. Please, talk amongst yourselves. Go to other businesses, see what's going on. You know, sometimes we get so caught up in working at our own business that we forget to work on our business. And that's really a sad part. How many of you are 1 or 2 employees working hard? I know you are. Okay? How many of you are, you know, the ability to take a couple hours and duck out of the business and go see another business or visit something downtown, it's probably not feasible. Is that fair to say? Okay? But what could you learn if you did? Would it be worth saying, okay, guys, you're going to have to manage the fort here for a few hours. I've got to go out and see what's going on. I'm going to go to this planning meeting. I'm going to go to this development meeting. I'm going to go to this city meeting. I just want to be more in tune with what's going on. It does take teamwork. You have to know because your visitors probably already do. What do you do when you're planning a vacation or planning a trip anywhere? What's the first thing you do? Where do you find out information? Okay, via what? One word. Where do you go to get every piece of information? Google. Didn't take you long to come up with that one. All hail Google. Everything that people want to know starts with Google. And from Google, where does it take you to? You find what you're looking for, what do you click on? Somebody's website. It takes you to someone's website. Or if you're looking just to go to a community, it takes you to either Chamber of Commerce, tourism, the city of, the county of. That's where people land the first time. So ironically, one of the first things that they're inundated with is usually messages about living and being part of the community. What are those messages? Are we positive in those messages as well? Do we have something out there that welcomes people in the door and says, here, this is who we are. This is the image we want to put forward right away, because that's the first impression. And usually it started with one word, Google. It's kind of scary when you think about it. Almost everyone in this room, when it comes back to what don't we know, Google. Yeah, hey Siri, I'm an idiot, tell me. Google. Okay? It comes back to very simple means of how we find out this information. But we've got to be on top of it as well. We've also got to make sure that when we put the message out there that we don't just stop at our own four walls. Who's been to Wall Drug? Tell me about Wall Drug.
It's a store?
Yeah. Have you been there once?
Yeah.
Twice? Once. How about you? Once.
And I didn't buy a thing. It was
No?
a great feeling.
Did you walk in the door and kind of go,
And nothing.
yeah, what in the H did I come here for? 201 miles to Wall Drug. And it worked. Had you heard of Wall Drug before you saw the signs? Yeah? How? Why?
Bumper sticker.
Bumper stickers. Isn't it stunning? Talk about promoting nothing. Okay? Come to Wall Drug. You can be a Wyoming, go to Wall Drug. Be a Montana, go to Wall Drug. Okay? It is amazing when you think about it. Now, it's easy. The downside, we talk about the perception and the reality. It is really kind of a one and done, isn't it? Granted, they better be dragging people from hundreds of miles to come there because it is pretty much a one and done. Do you want Sauk Prairie to be one and done? Are we one and done? Is your business one and done? If I walk in the door of every business in town, do I get the Wall Drug experience or do I get the Sauk Prairie experience? I know that sounds harsh, but think now. You say I see people that are sitting here going, think about that, because this is the reality. We know what it's like to walk in the door of a business that was really hyped up and probably didn't deliver. Granted, there's nothing else in town. It's pretty limited. But it worked. It got you there. Drove hundreds of miles to go check this out. I think that's great marketing. I have applauded them for decades on their ability to market. That's not the world we live in today, though. And that kind of goes back to, and if you were here previously in other sessions, I talked a little bit about the millennials. Y generation. Who's a millennial? Be proud. Okay, you like the millennial tag? Is that your favorite term? And this guy at the end, he's like, no, nah, not so much. Okay, you're not unemployed living in your parents' basement. No, you have a career. Yeah, it's funny. Almost every millennial I meet has a job, has a career, has a life, spends money. But you also grew up in technology. First generation to truly embrace this. Everything that you needed to know was here. And now you move forward to the Z generation, which is called Centennials. We've never even heard of them, right? That's actually everybody in high school and college. Think about that. All you hear is millennial, 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 millennial. Don't step in the millennial, you know, it's like a bad thing. But Centennials, we've never even heard that term. Every high school and college student out there today. Our entire future and our entire workforce is a term we basically haven't even embraced yet. And not only did they grow up with this, they understand it. They are the first generation to completely understand this. Who watched the Facebook discussions a few weeks ago? Zuckerberg sitting there in front of senators going, yeah, we released every piece of your lives to the world so they could track you and do everything else. How many of you were surprised by that? That thought, well, I didn't know Facebook was sharing all my information. Honestly, was anybody amazed that Facebook was sharing all your information? I love looking at the comments online because anyone who was basically 25 and younger thought, who are these people? Of course they're sharing our information. We knew that when we signed up for the thing. That's the irony of it, is the generations have changed. We've changed to where this is going now. We're beyond billboards and signage. We really are. That's what it takes to put the message out there, but that's all it does. It's awareness. It's come back to experience now, and experiencing what they want to experience when they come to you. If I walk in the door, it's a smile, it's a handshake, it's a happy person who wants to sell me something. Believe me, don't be afraid to sell. Sales is still a great thing. People have, in a political correctness world, we've sometimes backed off a little bit now, thinking it's not we shouldn't be selling as hard as we used to. No, you really should. Everything shows that you should sell just the same as you always sold. But you have to go a little bit further with that now and really explain why. Here's why you need this. You have to create more of that passion behind it. Signage whether it's on your building, whether it's in a newspaper ad, on the radio, you've got to keep it simple. Have you ever driven past those billboards that it's like they wrote the entire Bible on the billboard? You know, you slowed down to 10 miles an hour on the interstate trying to read the sign, and all you really needed was this place, next exit. That's all you really needed. You know, I mean, go back to the Wall Drug billboard. Wall Drug, 201 miles. It doesn't tell you what Wall Drug is for a reason of why they don't want to tell you what Wall Drug is. Okay? We want to just get you here. The experience will be here when you get here. But you got to keep it simple. Keep the graphics simple. We're too cluttered. I'm not advocating for billboards every mile on the road. Even like with Scenic 60, there's somewhat of a moratorium on where billboards can be placed. I'm fine with that. I don't want necessarily every billboard. When we go into larger communities, Milwaukee, Chicago, even the Dells, billboard. Obviously you expect it when you get into areas that really have a strong pull like that. They want to get you on this exit and that exit. It becomes part of the culture. We accept that. But it's still got to be very clean. Now, how about not being clean? How many of you have restrooms in your business and you are happy to let guests walk in the door at any time they can to use your restrooms? How many of you it's for customers only? Okay. And I don't want to pick on you if you did, but think about it. What's one of the common things that everybody has? Sometimes we just got to go. The goal of a marketing plan, I bet you when you drove 201 miles to get to Wall Drug, the first thing you need to do when you got to Wall Drug was go use the restroom. Then figure out what you're going to spend your money on a Wall Drug. I'm always amazed when I walk into a business and the sign says, restrooms are for customers only. I saw 2 of them yesterday. The goal of a marketing plan, the goal of the Wall Drug billboard is to get you in the door, period. If a bathroom brings people in your door, that's one of the easiest investments you've ever made, because I'm pretty sure you already had the bathroom. Hopefully you're keeping it clean and tidy and you're welcoming people with your restroom as well. But is there not a better way? I was in a community last winter, and I won't say where, that businesses were reluctant in letting parade watchers come in and use their restrooms. Said, no, for customers only, and they were literally holding the doors closed. And I heard people talking on the sidewalk saying, well, I'll never come back here. Think about that. Opportunity to let people walk in, even warm up for a few minutes and look around and see something and talk. You can say, hey, why don't you come back? I'll be open tomorrow at 10. I got these great things. I'm selling this. Again, it's a selling opportunity. But, communities that have identified the bathroom scenario have put in bathrooms. There are communities that absolutely had no bathrooms. I mean, literally everything was closed at 5 o'clock. There was nothing. So they go, well, let's build a bathroom downtown. We'll put in a little facility. They can stop here. And while they do this, we'll put up signage. We'll get to that part later. But the bathroom became the stopping point. It was always, here we are on a lot of major highways going right through this area. How do we stop people? Well, if it's as simple as they got to go to the bathroom and we've got a place they can go, we've stopped them. We've put out the road bump. We've got them to stop. While we're here, why don't we go do something else? We've already stopped. What are the products and services that we can buy within a small area of where we're at right now? So it is amazing. And I'll tell you, I've worked with communities. Yes?
Starbucks just changed that. Everyone's thinking that, yeah. They had that problem with customers only, and then they switched it around to, hey, anybody offer to anybody, because they knew exactly that.
Yep. Yep. I'm not going to, again, I'm being recorded here so I can wait to see these comments go public. Let's face it, Starbucks had a bit of an identity issue the last couple of years. Not only do they have a price point that is somewhat out of range for a lot of people that, I'm a dedicated Quick Trip 97-cent refill kind of guy. I'll admit that. I'm cheap. That's what my wife says anyway. Okay? I'm not a $6, $7 latte kind of guy. In order to go into a place like...
It's easier to go into Quick Trip then.
It sure is, yeah. And their restrooms are right there. Yeah. 1-800 if this bathroom's not clean. Okay? Whole different approach to the restroom scenario. But again, since I'm talking about bragging up Quick Trip, not only are the bathrooms open, if you need money, where do you go use an ATM? Bingo. Okay? Do you think that was by accident? They just wanted people in the door. They're not making any money off the ATMs, but they figured we got them in the door, they'll probably buy something. I mean, there is thought process behind it. And it really falls into the same category. If you are going to put messages out there, be very careful with your messages. This is, I don't know if you've ever heard of this one. This is a classic. This goes way back to the fore, but Philadelphia had a very bad reputation. Unfortunately, last couple of years, it hasn't gotten any better. But this actually was a campaign that they launched back in the day. Philadelphia isn't as bad as Philadelphians say it is. Can you imagine putting that up today? Now, granted, people would probably laugh and go, okay, that was a joke, right? No, this wasn't a joke. But we've got to be careful. If you put a message out there, again, Wall Drug 201 miles, and I'm not going to pick on Wall Drug all morning, but is it a message that brings people into town? Is it genuine? Is it passionate? Yes.
Avis and Hertz, they kind of had a little conflict with each
Oh,
other.
I love the rentals.
It was purposely because they did know that conflict like that does draw people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like to think
Yep.
that negative does. I have found that sometimes a little bit bad and that.
Yeah. Except for when you're promoting your community. Two businesses can slug it out. Coke and Pepsi, McDonald's and Wendy's, McDonald's and Burger King. There are companies who have gone after each other, just like you're talking about. I would dare say that if you launched a campaign competing from Prairie du Sac and Sauk City, probably not a good idea. Sauk Prairie versus Madison, the Dells, Loda, probably not a good idea. Okay? Probably not going to work for you. Yes, I do love, dare I say it's an election year. You want to talk about competitive marketing. Okay? That's the part I love about tourism. I'm not appointed, and I work with people on both sides of the political spectrum. I've stood in rooms with two people running against each other that if you saw them on TV or in the media, you would think these two people are close to killing each other. And yet they're standing having a beer, laughing and joking about their campaign. Hope it goes well, good luck, everything else. And then the next day you see the things they're saying and you're going, okay, boy, that's not exactly what was happening. But it is a reality when you look at the impressions that are out there. What is the perceived value of it? Okay? Take this to your own signage at your business. First off, the now hiring. I seriously am on a mission to get those signs out of your business. I want you to, if you have a now hiring sign, if you're focused on that aspect of it, look at, if it's working, it's working. And that's one thing you have to analyze. Is it working? You shared that maybe, maybe not. If it's not working, let's find a different avenue. Thank you for being a dedicated customer. We love having you come in here and spend your money. You're the kind of person we'd love on our team. You see those type of messages on Facebook. You see it on social media. I shared a video. I don't know if I shared it here, but I've got good friends of mine out in Ohio that they just opened their 6th restaurant. It's a kind of a fast food, Asian type of, have you ever been to like Panda Express? It's kind of like that, but it's a little bit more upscale, a little bit more of a coffee shop kind of feel to it. They just opened their 5th or 6th location, and to date, they have spent this on marketing. Now, traditional marketing. They've spent about $10,000 on filming commercials, videos in their own businesses with their own staff and doing nothing but putting on social media. Showing people working in the restaurant having fun, showing the boss walking through and talking to his guests, turning around, looking at the camera and go, this is what we do every day, hope to see you in here. That's how they promote their business. And he's saying, he goes, we don't have a marquee outside other than our logo. We don't even put price points outside. We don't have a special of the day outside, and I will not allow a help wanted sign or any other banner hanging on here other than grand opening. When it's grand opening, the sign hangs for 2 weeks. Gone. I think that's phenomenal when a business in a market that has 3% unemployment can keep themselves staffed and their marketing message completely different. Those are the things that I like to bring to the table to make sure that we're not getting ahead of ourselves. Men, raise your hand, be proud. How many of us ask the directions when we're lost? You will? There's one man. He's a real guy. The rest of us are probably married and we just drive around and act like we know what we're doing until we're so screwed up that we finally have to pull in somewhere. What we know statistically is men don't ask directions. Ladies, you do. You will walk into a place, ask for this, where am I going, pull out the map, take a look. We're men, okay? We don't know. We won't ask. We better have clear signage. Wayfinding is important for us. We have to know where we're going. There has to be something color-coded. There has to be a design that brings me. If it's not convenient, we're not going to go. Whether it's a small town or a big city, sometimes parking is ridiculous. Sometimes finding where the downtown is. If it's not on the main street, it's hard. It's tough. Where do I go? I don't know where to park. How long do I park? Okay? If I park here, how much is it going to cost? Where do I go down here? Where's this business? Where do I turn? Signage is so important. Wayfinding. How do we put together that message again that, you know, and again, here's where I'll take the positive. Looking at something like a Wall Drug, it brought people to that community. It got people from hundreds of miles away to be there in the downtown. And then, where do I go from here? Where's the signage that all looks the same that says, okay, here's all these wonderful people, go shop. And if this business is open until 8 o'clock at night, every one of them's open till 8 o'clock at night, or till 7, or till 5, whatever the model is, everybody's under the same model, so that the wayfinding becomes very simple and very directional. And talking about signage, even a little bit more on your businesses, it is tougher. You know, I'm not saying that every business has to have the same signage design, but when you take a look at, some people go, my God, why is there a sign ordinance in our community? Why can't I have the biggest sign? You know, they put out a little sign, I want this big monster billboard. There's a reason why there are sign ordinances. Now, as a person who owns businesses, I can debate that also and say that, you know, why am I restricted to this or this? Okay. Again, that's why I say get involved with your communities. Make sure you know what the rules are. Why are there rules? What do we need to change? If we're all going to change to do the same thing. Take a look at the, you know, some communities. If you notice when you pull into some towns that all the signs are facing out, they're all perpendicular to the street, they're easy to read, they got a nice design, a nice look to them, kind of a mall mentality. It's very clean, it's very easy to find. There's also, if you put together a map of, okay, where do I go get this, where do I go get this, you could put together a map, just like a mall has a map when you walk in and here's all the stores. Could you put together that retail mall map for Sauk Prairie? Here's all the stores in our mall, and here's when they're open, and here's where we can go to this. And it's easy to find them because the storefronts look the same. And when you walk in the door, we get the same smiling faces. Too often, creativity makes it tough for our signage. Sometimes I see people that try to get overly creative with a sign, really fancy logo, too small of words, or try to cram too much onto it. It's tough sometimes. You want to be unique. But then you step back and you look at what you put up on the sign and you realize, I can't see this. And if I can't see it, if it's tough for me, it's going to be impossible for someone who doesn't recognize what my business is. And it's going to be more impossible for those men who don't ask directions and have no idea what your logo is. So again, it has to say what it is. It has to be understandable. It has to be identifying. You know, and again, the building design, if you have, you know, art in the window, if you have designs in the window, you know, pieces out front. If it's a nice day like today and you can put items out front to sell, you know, that, and there's not a code against that. Again, I'm not saying to run out and violate city ordinances. I don't know what those are. But as long as you're within code and you're doing things that help move that brand along with your signage, I say take a look at that. And maybe it's a decision. How many of you would like to upgrade your signage or the look of your businesses? Or anybody that's planning on any type of an upgrade, need to replace your outdoor signs? Now's a great time to do that. And maybe invite your neighboring businesses to be part of the discussion. Hey, I'm going to put up a new sign. Looks like you might need to put up a new sign. Let's do something so we're not covering each other. Let's make it look sharp on our block. What can we do so that we look like we're playing in the same sandbox here? It's tough to have those discussions, but I'll tell you, it was one of the best things I ever did. I was in the restaurant business for years, bought a place, most ridiculous looking color scheme you ever saw. I said, okay, we're going to redo this thing. I want to have cool signage. I want it to look good. But I also noticed that this business looks like heck. That business looks okay. And the one across the street burned down. So we've got to do something here. We've got to get with this. I met with the two guys next to us and said, what can we do to help each other? You could pay for your own, but we're going to work together. What can you do? Yeah, I've been wanting to do something here. Okay, well, here's my color scheme and here's my design. I'd like my sign to be here. If I put my sign here and you put your sign here, nobody's going to see our signs. So let's check the code. Let's make sure that we can put our signs where they need to be, same type of design, same type of size, and it will benefit all of us. And we did. And we actually, every one of us, of course, for me it was a new business, but for them they saw about a 10% growth in business because their signs were now clear, the block looked neater, and we all were operating together. Plus we were sending each other across the street to one another. And when there were lines at one, they'd go to the other. So it was kind of a nice crossover. Parking. Again, I don't think that we really have a parking issue in Sauk City or Prairie du Sac. Many communities do. How many of you go to Madison on a regular basis? Who isn't downtown Madison fun? Doesn't that invite you to go spend a lot of time on the square? If you do it between 9 and 5. Okay, I understand parking revenue and understand the importance of keeping traffic flowing, but when it comes to business, we got to make sure that the parking is available to our guests, that they can park there, that if there is a parking limit, that it's reasonable for what our guests need. Maybe they need 3 hours and we only allow them 2. How many times have you seen that where you would have spent more of this in a community, but you had to leave in 2 hours? If you had another hour, you'd have left more money. The meter would have got 50 cents. You would have dropped $50. And I urge communities all the time to think about those things. Now again, I don't think, that's really not that's a non-issue here for the most part, right?
I think it's a non-issue. Some of the communities think it's
Okay.
particularly as you add more businesses downtown.
Okay.
I think it's just been a community that people are used to driving to the front door.
Yep.
Parking and getting out, and walking a block seems very difficult.
How many of you park and walk a block to your own business to leave the parking for your guests? Or how many of you have parked right in front of your own door? I see a couple people smiling. Okay, be very careful of that. One of the things I see in small communities all the time, and I've taken pictures of this, and I've proven this theory, I'll just go to a downtown and I'll take a picture one day and I'll come back and I'll take a picture the next day. And the same cars are parked in the same spot. Probably not shoppers. Especially when I happen to get a good plate and I can run the plate and find out, yep, that's Bob's, he owns that store. Those are the things we have to be very careful of because too often we're the ones clogging up our own town. We'll say, well, I only had 5 people walk in the door today. Yeah, but all of your parking spots were taken by you and your 3 employees. Park in the back. Park out of sight. Leave that open. If a customer parks there for 3 hours and walks to 10 other businesses, God bless them. That's what we want. Especially if it's an out-of-state plate, right? Illinois is here. Woohoo! Must be seasoned. Make sure that we allow that parking to be available. If the discussion comes up to limit the parking, beyond what's reasonable. Beyond what's reasonable. You know, it's got to be signed properly, and it's got to be limited properly. But make sure that it's conducive. If you know that you're able to keep visitors shopping here for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, that's what you need to communicate to your community. So that the policy is set by you, the people, not by they, the government. I strongly urge you to think about that. It has huge implications if you cut your shoppers off too early. You just can't get yourself into that situation. Now, back to the what's there to do in this town comment. You've been through customer service, some of you with me the last couple of sessions. You know that I'm adamant about this. Okay? This is where it all begins when they walk in the door. Whether they're there to use your bathroom, whether they're there to buy a product, whether they're there to go, I just parked in this town, I don't know what I'm doing here. Where am I going? Where's the hotel? I'm trying to find a place to eat. I just had a flat tire, I need gas. Help me, please. Whatever that reason is that somebody walked in the door, this is where it becomes important. Making sure that our frontline people in every business, not just hospitality, not just the hotels and the restaurants, we accept that. We appreciate that and we mandate that. You will go to a fast food restaurant late at night, you expect good service. You're a little bit more understanding that, in this modern world, it might not be happening. Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. It should be 100%. Whether it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, it should be 100%. Somebody should walk in the door and get that Sauk Prairie experience. Welcome to my town. How are you? Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Please spend a lot of money with me because I want a raise. That's really what we're saying, right? I want to make more money. I'll be really, really nice to you. Leave me all the money you have. And when you get hungry next time, come back here and spend more money here. The boss needs to give me another raise. And he wants to make more money because I like working for rich people. Now, we don't say that publicly, but that is what we're thinking, right? And there's nothing wrong with having your staff think that way because that's what keeps them happy, keeps them smiling, keeps them jovial. We don't have to hide from the boogeyman. We can talk about this project as it really is. Bringing people in our door to make them want to be part of our business, part of our society, to live and work here, to like us, to be who we are. That's what it's really all about. Going back to your signage aspect of that person behind the counter can't always be there. How many of you close at 5 o'clock? 6, 7, 8, 9, 24 hours? No one. So everyone in here, it's safe to assume that at some point your business locks its doors. You close. What does your kiosk say to somebody who walks up at 10 o'clock at night? They're having a drink downtown, they walk past your business. What does your kiosk say? Now, do you have an actual kiosk? Maybe not. But your front window is your kiosk. If you have downtown signage, that's your kiosk. What does it say? Does it welcome people in the door in the same way that your best employee does? Thanks for coming to town. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We so appreciate you being here. Sorry we missed you. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be open another day. Do we have messaging that essentially welcomes people the same way and even ticks it up a little bit because even it's tougher because you don't have that person standing there. So that signage really has to welcome people in. If we're going to welcome people in, there's got to be plenty for them to do. Who knows what critical mass means? Anyone who want to define critical mass? Having enough stuff to do when someone visits that they have plenty of options to where they want to go. To put it in layman's terms, critical mass. Now, one can define, we'll go into some very detailed things here. Who knows, who's ever heard of Roger Brooks? I know Tawana will and a few others. Roger Brooks is the ultimate tourism marketing guy in America. I've known Roger for 30-some years. I've stolen a lot of his stuff. Roger's a great guy. But he's also very spot on for many things. One of the things he talks about is the critical mass of being 10, 10, 10. Do you have 10 places to eat and drink, 10 places to go shopping, 10 places for nightlife? Do you have these things? Do you have these options? If a new business opens up, we've only got 8, and number 9 opens up and it's a big fancy place, it welcomes a lot of people in. Do we embrace that as option number 9? Or do we challenge number 9 and say, you don't belong in our community, get out of here? Do we welcome the critical mass? Do we know that having enough places to go, enough things to do? Now, 10, 10, 10 doesn't always apply to every community. The smaller the community, it may be 5, 5, 5, maybe 3, 3, 3. But it also needs to be in balance. You can't have 10 of one, 1 of the other. It should be in balance. And again, what does that come to? The community discussions. I love it when people say, well, we don't have a hotel, we need a new hotel. What do we need? How do we get a new hotel? Make a need for it. Okay? Put together the need for that hotel. A business owner will come here and build a hotel if there's a need to put the hotel. We don't just go recruit people and say, you're going to build the hotel. Well, I can't make any money. Oh, too bad. You got to build a hotel. We need a hotel. We need another restaurant. You've got to go build a restaurant. Well, there's not enough people to make me make $3 million. No, it's too bad. We've decided you have to build a restaurant. That's not how we do things. But the critical mass does have to make sure that we are prepared to market our communities with that critical mass, to bring people in, to operate as a group. And when they're here, along with a positive attitude of front desk and marketing and working together and have plenty of options, are we always positive? Again, the question, what's there to do here for fun? Nothing. Okay? I use this as an example. Who's ever been to Dropping of the Carp Fest? You ever been to Prairie du Chien for this thing? They don't drop the ball on New Year's Eve. They drop a big fish. Don't you love that? And it's a carp, for God's sakes. Too many carp in the river? She's like, you think I'm kidding, don't you? You ever heard of it? No? Go check it out. It's an outdoor festival, rain, sleet, whatever it may be. If it's 10 below, they got bonfires all over, and they drop a big fish. Dropping of the carp. Okay? They could have hidden from the fact they had a carp issue. No, they embraced it. Let's have a New Year's festival focusing on that stupid fish. Brings in thousands and thousands of people, and the community embraces it, and the community stays open for it. Businesses are there late to welcome people into town. I just use it as one example. A few years ago up north, we had ironically would have been last weekend. 5 years ago, there was no open water in Wisconsin. The lake we were on for the fishing opener had 36 inches of ice. We were hosting a fishing opener with the governor. I'm a hero when there's no open ice. We went out and drilled 3 holes in the ice, set a boat down, went in, put on our shorts and tank tops, walked out, sat in the boat. It's about 10 degrees outside. And we fished through the holes on the lake just so that the media could see us fishing. Have fun with it, folks. We could have just canceled the thing and said there's no fishing opener, don't come up here. We had more people show up for the opening dinner that year than there's ever been since. We had Sasquatch there from Jack Links going out there running through snowbanks, tackling people, throwing them down. We were snowmobiling on the lake on opening weekend in May. Always stay positive. Have fun with it. Don't let something take away from it. It rains on 4th of July. You're supposed to have a big festival, have fun with it. Just do what you got to do with it. There's no point. You can't control Mother Nature. You might as well enjoy it. And if you get a bad tag, this one I've been using for a long time. Have you ever heard of Battle Mountain, Nevada? Years ago in a news article, they were branded as the armpit of America, because the reporter said this place is an armpit. Well, you got to give it to the people. They contacted Old Spice. I'm not making this up. Google it. Google's your friend. Prove me wrong. They Googled. They looked up Old Spice and said, we'd like to have the Armpit Festival here in our town. Tens of thousands of people go to that town for Armpit Festival. Again, you can't make these things up. But the community said, we're not going to lose. We're not going to let anybody bring us down. We're going to stay positive, and they did. And the economic impact of it is in the millions of dollars. I just love that kind of stuff. I can promote that. You ever been to northern Wisconsin? There's a wood tick festival. They race wood ticks. Yes, race the things. Race wood ticks. I'm not kidding. I can't remember the name of the town. It would be better if I could tell you, but I forgot the name of the town. If you're go travel Wisconsin. Go on there and look. If you are standing outside and you don't know what they're doing and you hear them yelling, whack it, whack it. I'm going, what are they talking about? The tick that loses gets hit. I'm serious. Thousands of people show up to race wood ticks. And granted, it's not hard to go out and collect the wood ticks. You need to race the things. But, again, the irony of sometimes of what you can throw together. Do what's unique. Be brazen. Come up with ideas that nobody else has done. I'm not saying you want to advocate to be the armpit of America, but come up with ideas that are unique. That's something that, is there a sale that you could put together? There's a promotion. Would you like to sit down with the chamber, with tourism, and say, I've got an idea for a new event in this community, something we could promote that's retail-based or community-focused? How many of you have ever thought, I got a great idea for an event? Anybody? I see one head nodding. I got a great event. Have you ever told anybody? Why? Because usually we'll sit in a room and say, I got an idea for an event, and it only takes one person to go, that was a dumb idea. And then we just go, okay, yeah, that was a dumb idea. I bet you the armpit was a dumb idea that brought in tens of thousands of people. Dropping of the carp was a dumb idea that brought in tens of thousands of people. Okay? Dare to come up with those ideas that make you unique. Throw it out there, and you got to be the best at it. That's the thing. If you're going to do something really quirky, own it. Really own it, embrace it, and make sure, again, this is about your business as well. Make sure your business is tied to this. Always take advantage of what's going on in your community to be part of that. Don't run a sale that's 90 degrees from what the messaging is for what's going on in the rest of the town. Be part of that. Look at the calendar of events. Make sure you tie into these things. Now, when people walk in your door, you've done all of this work so far to set yourself up that you're playing with the community, you know what's going on, you're on top of things. Make sure at this point, this is where the perception does become the reality. This is where it's the toughest part. You got to own it now. And this goes back to really not only just the welcoming people in the door. People expect this. Good morning, good to see you. Thanks for being here. People expect that, right? You expect that. You may not get it where you're going to get food. You may want to choose a different restaurant 10 o'clock at night. I'm pretty good at 10 o'clock eating, I know. But you may want to make sure that not only is this good, but everything else we do is equally as awesome. You got to be different. You got to be the best. You remember from my previous presentations that there's only two types of customers, right? There's the customers that we know. The regular customers walk in the door, clients, spend money with us every day. People we know by name. Who likes to be known by name? Go out for a Friday night fish fry, you walk in the door, you like to be known. Hi, Drew, good to see you. Hey, thanks. Got your table ready, got your drink ready, food will be out in 50. Enjoy the evening. I like that. That's nice. Because the only other customers are the ones we don't know yet. It's not the ones we haven't met, we don't know anything about. I don't know them. Who's been the person that nobody knew? If you walked into a place that nobody knew, you like the nobody knows me feeling? Somebody walks in that door right now. What's the first thing we're all going to do? And that person's going to feel this tall, right? But if they walk in the door and we all turn and go, good morning, welcome, they're going to be, holy crap. Hope they don't have heart condition. That's what people like, though. People like that welcome. Come on in. The cheers idea. The everybody knows your name. We don't know your name. Get in here. It's people we don't know yet. We don't know where you're from yet. We don't know how much money you make yet. We don't know how long you're going to be here yet. We don't know where you're staying yet. We don't know what event you came to town yet. But by God, I'm going to ask you every question there is, and I'm going to find out. Because I want you to shop here while you're here. I want you to eat my food in this restaurant while you're here. I want you to sleep in my hotel while you're here. That's how we find these things out. Cultural changes. Here's the politically incorrect part of the presentation. Marketing, business, it is about profiling your customers. Not in a racial way, not in a mean way. It's positive. You have to know who your customers are. You have to know where they're coming from. You have to know what they expect, what their cultural norms are. Things are changing. Things are changing. People are coming here. The world's getting smaller. I gave a group of Japanese writers a tour a few months ago. Okay? You've heard the stereotypical Japanese with a camera? It's not stereotypical, it's real. Okay? They love technology. Trust me, they got the good stuff. They take pictures. They want to document everything. It's part of their culture. They love taking pictures. They don't like being in them. It's not their big thing, but they love taking pictures. They want to see everything. They want to walk into your shop and take pictures of the cool stuff and maybe buy it, but they don't want to take it with them. They want it shipped home. Why? Because they like Amazon too. Okay? Cultural change. Who here has done business with Japanese or Chinese business people? Okay? If they walk up to you and you're doing a business deal with them and they hand you a business card, you set the business card in your hand and you hold it and you look at it and it stays there. If you put their business card in your pocket the minute they give it, that's an insult. You've insulted them because you've dismissed their importance. You've put it in your pocket. You hold the card, it's in your hand, and you look at it. Oh, Mr. Takiai, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much so. And you hold that card. It's cherishing. That's business. And why do I point that out? Because it's a little piece. It's a very little piece, but we don't know it. Too often we don't know it. And we see a huge increase. Japanese, Chinese, travelers, culture is very much the same. Korea, I think it's wonderful what's going on with Korea. We'll see where that takes us. But you see those things. And it's cultural change. The Muslim communities. I do a lot of work in Minneapolis. Huge growth in Muslims. They're coming into Wisconsin. The west side of Wisconsin, the communities. New Richmond, I don't know if you've ever heard of New Richmond, Wisconsin, but the nice big fancy bridge that just got built, well, it brings you to New Richmond across the 4-lane highway. It's becoming the new suburb of Minneapolis in a sense. People are moving there, but you're seeing this Muslim community. And may I dare say that when the first Muslim Islamic customers were walking into businesses in New Richmond, what do you think the reaction was? What do you think the reaction was? Nobody wants to say publicly, right? I'm on camera. Everything I'm saying is right out there. So yeah, of course. We're human beings. There was a bit of a reaction. We don't see this culture in our state on a regular basis. But they were coming here as families and they were spending money. And the businesses that embraced them said, hey, where are you guys from? We live in Minneapolis. Oh, great. Glad you were here. Check it out. They were families spending money. So we embraced them. You know, and then we can bring a little closer to home. You know, I'm a guy who rides things that go have engines that make noise. But I can tell you there's a lot of communities when I walk into and I come cruising in with a Harley, pop the bike down in front of a business and walk in full chaps and leather, I get a look. Who's that dude? Do it on a motorcycle or on a snowmobile or a four-wheeler where you really smell like fuel. Okay? Yeah, now you know where I'm going, right? Then I really get the look. Okay? Bicycles. Same customer in a sense though. Why? Because they're in your business, they're buying your goods and services. Where am I going to put it? Do we ship? Are we willing to say, you know what? I'll put that in a box, I'll send it home for you. When you get there, that'll be there. What if they live in Madison and they're just out biking the Great Sauk Trail? And you go, you know what? You don't need to worry about taking that with you because I know your car is probably 20 miles down the line. Give me your address, I'll ship it to you. Okay? I'm just pointing that out because a lot of businesses don't offer that, especially in smaller towns, and that's one of the cultural changes we really got to think about. Who's an Amazon customer? Everybody. I will blatantly admit I love Amazon. As a guy who's in public relations all the time, 8 days a week, do I like shopping from my laptop and tomorrow it's there? It's pretty nice. It really is. There's a big plus to that. But I also love it when I travel around the state and I find, I like art. I love art. I love wonderful pieces of art. I will spend money on a beautiful piece of art if I see it. I don't want it bouncing in the backseat of my car for the next 1,500 miles that I drive around the state. Can you box this, frame this, and send this to my house? Will you ship this for me? Most people no. And then I find the place to go, absolutely. You want this shipped home for you, Drew? Got it. It only costs you $30. I'll box it up real nice and we'll get it to your house. That's a service. Amish communities. Anybody have Amish community or business here in town? I know we're close to Amish, but it's a little bit. Okay. They don't have credit cards. Okay. A lot of them have cell phones now. That's kind of interesting. I actually teased one guy the other day when I saw him. I go, you got Apple Pay on that? He didn't know what I was talking about, but it was funny to me. Yeah, I'm still human. I like to have fun, you know. But it was the same thing that they bought a product and they did not have the means to take the product home. They didn't, I mean, even though they had a buggy, they didn't have the wagon. They didn't have a way to take this product home at the store I was at. And the guy there, he said, well, where you at? Where's it going? You know, well, we live in Dalton. Yeah, give me the address. I'll take it up there. Well, it's going to be a little hard to find because we're kind of, he goes, I'll just follow you. He followed him. Got behind him with a pickup, put on a four-ways, and he followed him. And it was a fairly large purchase, but he followed these folks home. Cultural difference, some of the things we can do. Making sure that we take advantage of every option. Again, this is about being the best. This is the things that other people don't take advantage of. It's very important we take advantage. Visually impaired. Anyone have a loved one who's blind, impaired by any means? Okay. When you have customers that are, it's very unique. You know, one of the things that we forget about is that they can't see us, but they can hear everything we say. Every word that comes. But if I talk and I convey my message very clearly, they understand. So if they can't see us, we still have to make sure that our message is very clear. Hi, welcome to my business. Name of. Thanks for being here. It's a beautiful day outside. Glad you were here. Is there something I can help you with? What were you looking for? Oh, I'm here for this item. Oh, they're right over here to the left. Let me take you down this aisle. Careful, there's a rug right there. Let me walk you over to this item. Let me show you this item. This item is $12.95. This item over here is $15.95. Again, the ability to explain that item, to tell, how often do we, the first thing we do when we give an item to a guest, we tell them how much the cost is. Well, if they're visually impaired, they're not going to be able to see the tag. So we need to give them all that information. But it creates that bond where we're now talking to a person. Very one-on-one. Service dogs. You've heard a lot about this in the news lately. Anybody fly? If I see one more comfort dog on an airplane, I think I'm going to snap. I may be traditional, but I'm sorry. If you need a dog, it's because you have a limited ability for some reason, and your dog is there to escort you. Now, I'm a little more understanding. I have a dear friend of mine who has significant issues from coming back from the war. coming back from overseas. And he does have a service dog, although he's not physically or visually impaired. So I'm not completely disbanding that thought process, but I just want to say that, for someone who has if they're blind, they need a dog, or for whatever purpose, make sure that you treat that dog the same as you would that person. They walk into your business, that dog is a customer in your business as well. I work with a lot of law enforcement, and the canine dogs are exactly the same way. Now, they get used to it because the first thing the kids do, come up and want to hug them and pet them, and they're used to that. But if it's truly a service dog, make sure that we show them the same courtesy. If you have treats, and a lot of businesses now do. There are businesses that are catering to visually impaired guests on a regular basis because they've built that reputation, so the word got out. This business really takes care of us. They know how to communicate with us if we go in there we can't see. So they even have treats for the dogs. Can I give your dog a treat? Oh, that would be great. So those type of little things that make a big difference. Hearing impaired. How many of you know about 711? 711 relay. You do. Tell me about it. Have you used it? And in what circumstance, may I ask? Oh, excellent. Okay. How often would you say you've used it? You have? Okay, so you're familiar with how it works, and it connects in, you give them the information. Okay, this is a relay system whereby if you're speaking with someone who is hearing impaired, you dial the number, you give them their number, and it connects them to it, and now every conversation you have will transcribe to that person. Okay, they have a specific phone. Nowadays it's even, it's basically tablet-based now for most people. But that is a state service. There is a 1-800 number for federal if you're calling someone out of state anywhere in the country. But 711 is another one of these state services. And ironically, in almost every room I talk to, I usually have one person who's aware of it. Now, think about that if you build a base, you have a customer who's deaf, and you can now tell them when they come in, hey, I know how to use the 711 relay system now, so I'll call you when your item's in. I'll give you a call, let you know. Oh, thank you. The other thing with hearing impaired is make sure that, one, don't do what I did. I have a cousin who's deaf. I talk to him like this. Hey, Steve. Okay? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. You're right. But we couldn't help it. I was just a dumb kid. I didn't know any better. Okay? But when we learned to communicate, we learned how to talk. He goes, look at me. Talk to me. I can read your lips, but I can't read your lips when you're over here. I can't read your lips if you're at the cash register and you're not looking at me. Make sure you look at your guest. Speak very clearly. Make sure that we take every opportunity to welcome that guest into our business as well. How often do we put things in our business for people who have hearing? We have videos playing so they can watch a product and it has sound. We have music playing because it's part of our ambiance and it has sound. We don't think about what for that person who doesn't hear any of these things. Do we have a video playing that's captioned? They can still get the same impression with the words running on the screen. Just little things. I'm just pointing that out because these are the things that take you from this level to that level. Mobility. My brother-in-law is a full paraplegic in a wheelchair, former Marine, great American. He will tell me, and I love it when he does, that anything in Wisconsin's barrier-free if I want to go there. That's his attitude. There's nothing that will stop me. Only you can stop me, though. If I get to your business and I can't get in the door, your business isn't barrier-free, I won't come in the door. But I don't lose, you do. I got money. He goes, I'll spend it anywhere, but if I can get in the door, I will come in, I will spend money, and I expect to spend that money with you. I want to spend money with you, and I want to know you. I want to talk to you, but I got to be able to get in the door. ADA. Everything is supposed to be ADA, right? Everything's supposed to be accessible. Spend time with someone in a wheelchair sometime and find out how accessible it is. Go check out, we were just at a very, and again, I won't pick on where this place was in the state, beautiful hotel. I mean, truly a 5-star, beautiful facility. They put in this cobblestone approach into the front door. Motorized chair, not bad, but it shook his teeth out. Imagine if you were in a traditional wheelchair. You'd probably hurt that person taking them into this business. The door, about 3 feet wide or 10 feet wide. I mean, huge doors, and we get inside and everything was, handicap parking out front, but the walkway was cobblestone. In a wheelchair, you physically could not get a wheelchair up that walk. If you're by yourself trying to wheel up, you'd never do it. That's how rough this thing was. I'm not criticizing that business. Somebody didn't think about it. They put in 10 spots out front that said handicap accessible because I'm sure a policy, a government zoning policy says you have to have these amount of parking spots. But they didn't think about how we're going to get these guests in our door. Again, look at your business. Make sure that your business is accessible. To what degree? And do what you need to do to take it to the next level. And if you physically can't, that's one thing too. You just have to be very honest with guests and say, I'm sorry, this is my limit, this is what I'm able to do. I can get you in the door, but here's the limits we have. Communicate that. Speech impairments. Seeing more of this as well. Not only, deaf, but mute to a degree, speech issues. I'm seeing this with veterans as well, injured veterans where they've had jaw damage and where they're not able to communicate properly with the speech. Making sure that we communicate back to them, understandably so. If they can't speak, do we have a notepad that they can write down what it is they want us to go get for them? And trust me, it's perfectly fine to say, would you like to write that down? Here's a notepad and a pen, write that down for me. And let someone write that out, and you can reply back. Maybe it's fine if they understand you, but they need to write it out so you clearly understand. And how often, if someone does have a speech problem, we're afraid to say, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. Have you ever had that moment where especially if you're working somewhere and you ever worked in Southern Illinois or Indiana? Real Southern drawl, and we're not used to that because we're from the Midwest. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying, okay? You can't help a guest if you don't understand what they're saying, but to make sure you're polite when you ask those questions. Cognitive disabilities. This is a real challenge right now for the hotel industry, and I'm sure as much for you as well. The cognitive issues, we're seeing this with dementia patients. We're seeing this with the onset of Alzheimer's. Guests will pull into a hotel or a restaurant, park their car, walk in the front door, and have no idea where they are. They don't know why they're here. Even worse, they pull up to a hotel, the valet guy took their car, now they're freaking out because they think their car got stolen. And I mean, it's kind of humorous to think about, but the reality is like, my God, this is real. And what we're doing is working with staff to say, no, we now have to communicate with that customer. We say, sir, welcome. We appreciate you being here at the resort. It's great to see you. Mr. Smith, we'll check you in. You're going to be in room 201 today. The valet just parked your car, and we have that in a secure location for you. When you need your car back, come see me, sir, and we'll get your car back for you. Your bags are right behind you on a cart, and this gentleman will be taking your bags to your room. Things that we normally would not explain to a guest. You check into a hotel, you expect some guy's going to take them up there for $20 and put them in your room. We need to explain every step of that process, what we're going to do. Someone walks into your business. Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming here today. What items can I help you find? When you're done with that, I'll take you up front. We'll ring those items up for you. I will be happy to carry those out to your car. And it's also a nice way to make sure that if they are driving, that we've safely got them into their vehicle, their items were in their vehicle stowed correctly. Too often we're seeing with folks with cognitive issues right now, they are not properly securing their items in their vehicles. Potential damage issues as well, not only for our product, but for obviously safety issues for our guests. So little things we don't think about though. I mean, how many of you have thought about that previously, honestly? One, okay. Did you learn something? No, we should be done. It's got to be almost 9:30, right? 8 minutes to go, you're almost out of here. Provide access to facilities and services. Again, open your restrooms up to people. Make sure we let them come in. Let them relax. If you had a guest that's been walking all afternoon downtown and are just tired, elderly lady, she's tired, she's been shopping. Elderly gentleman, someone even younger, just needs to sit down. Here's a chair, have a seat, relax for a few minutes, then you can come shop. Do we provide a place where guests can relax for a moment to catch their breath? If it's a hot day and they walk from the parking lot to our business and that was enough to, to exhaust them, do we give them a minute to collect their thoughts? Just little things to think about. Take it to that next level. Who's been to Disney? Tell me about Disney. Anyone?
Fun.
Love Disney. Anyone else? Disney.
Everything's perfect.
Tell me about Disney. Perfect how?
Everything's perfect.
Everything's perfect.
Not a drop of anything anywhere. I mean, it's picture perfect.
And they obsess on the little things. If you were here previously, I talked a little bit about this too. What's the product you can't buy at Disneyland? No chewing gum. Garbage cans are 22 feet apart because they studied people and found out that if it's 24 feet, people throw. If it's less than 22 feet, people drop. Doesn't get in the garbage can. 22 feet, for whatever reason, is garbage can, and we throw things away. Grounds are cleaner. They've strategically placed the garbage cans. They've taken that obsession. But they didn't just do it for themselves. They actually went out to other businesses in town. They went out to the municipalities and said, we're doing these things that work. You should do them too. And they've actually communicated this to the resorts in town, to the restaurants, to the municipalities, to the garbage cans on the street. They've said, we're doing these things to help keep our area clean. Please play along. We like uniformity. We would like you to be part of what we're doing here. So even Disney, as great as they are, can't do it alone. They have to do it as a community. So they've reached out to the rest of the community. Tell the story. How did Sauk County get its name? Okay, speak up. Indian tribe? Okay, anyone else? Who doesn't have a clue? Fair enough. There's your first Google assignment. No, I'm serious. There's your first Google assignment. How did Sauk County, what's the history of Sauk County? Where did the Sauk name come from? Okay, don't have to do it now, but there's something, a simple question of telling the story. How did we get our name? Where did it come from? Who are we? Are there still Indians in the area? If it's an Indian name, well, yes, there are, the Ho-Chunk Nation. And tell us about that, and where are they? Well, we're working on a project right now. It's going to take this trail right through a piece of property. We're working with the Ho-Chunk Nation on that. Those are stories that we can tell people. It's a lot more fun to tell the story. It's a lot more fun to engage people into these things and to tell them the history of where we are and how long we've been here, what the culture of it is. Where did Devil's Lake come from? How long has Devil's Lake been a park? Well, since 1911. Whoa, how's that possible? I saw pictures of 18, well, before the lake's been there for a lot longer than that, but it didn't start a park until 1911. People don't know those little pieces of history. When we can share the history, it makes it a wonderful story. People feel like they're part of what we're telling them now. They remember those pieces. Make sure we connect the dots. When's the last time you took a vacation to go to a town? Unless it was a big town. You went to New York, Los Angeles. How many of you knew what county you went to? You took a vacation to a county. Unless you went to Door County, and that one doesn't count. There's no competition on three sides. And they've been doing it for 40 years. Kind of like Wall Drug, they're starting to get good at it, right? Make sure that we connect the dots. Make sure that we realize that people that are coming through this area are probably going also other places. How do we connect ourselves to those other places? What do we have to offer that guests in the Dells want? That guests going to Devil's Lake want? That guests going to Madison want? That guests going to Minneapolis want? Connect yourself to those dots. Make sure that we know where we fit in and sell yourself with pride. Make sure that you belong on that map. Because you're so good at what you do, you belong there. You've earned your right in the limelight. Here I go again. It is about the money. Tourism didn't go up 40% in the last 7 years by accident. It went up because we had a great product to sell, you, your businesses, your towns, your community, and people came for it. And when they were here, we positioned ourselves the best we could to keep them here as long as we could, with as much stuff as we could throw at them, to get them to want to be here longer and come back more often. Same thing as your business. Same business plan everybody in this room has. I want them back more, and I want to sell them more stuff, right? Nobody's going, how do I save them money today? Well, I'm not kidding, but of course, you know what I'm saying. Okay, make sure that along with that, we provide a memory. There's a term called experiential tourism right now, which means going out and not just seeing. Millennials, centennials, you're the first demographic that does not want to go see a museum. You want to be part of it. You want to do it. I want to wear that piece of garb. I want to put on those clogs. I want to dance. I want to do these things. And I think that's fantastic. I really do. Because there's a lot more fun in going and doing something than there is in going and seeing it. If I go to a farmer's market, I just don't want to buy things in a bag and take it home. I want to buy things in a bag, take it over and go, oh, you're here to cook stuff for me? I'll be back in 3 hours. Cook that sucker for me. farmers markets are doing those things because it creates an experience now. And I can come back and the food I chose that was produced out here in this field and I bought and I gave to this chef, I came back and they prepared a meal for me today. Those are experiences. Those are little things that we put together, and it all becomes now part of selling that song, selling that experience that we're having around the campfire. Probably recognize a few of these signs. Visit historic. Come see us. Everything for everybody. In fact, I actually have a list. I'm sorry, it's not going to show up well. All the buzzwords. Something for everyone. Getaway, gateway, center of it all. Naturally fun, experience, next to everything. These are real slogans, by the way. I didn't make these up. I actually took these off of websites. Okay? Tell me you couldn't apply every one of these to everything in every town. Sauk Prairie, it's next to everything. It's next to parks, it's next to the Dells, it's next to rivers. Come visit us. Outdoor recreation, explore, so much to see and do. Destination, 4 seasons. Anybody not have 4 seasons? Spring is only on one day this year, I realize that, but you know, we still have these things. Pictures. Who has clear pictures of your business, your products, your staff, your people, on your site, in your marketing, that sells your product, that gives an interest in saying, what is this? I want to go see this. Anybody recognize this? Does that look like a cool place? You want to stay there? Like to wake up to that tomorrow morning? Well, if you book it now, you can stay there in 2020. It's in Richland Center. That's Candlewood Cabins. Great place. The only thing they did different than any other bed and breakfast retreat facility is they hired a professional photographer and they use these photographs everywhere. And then they've got ones that have people in it, so that one of the things I preach is always put people in your pictures. Photography and video sells. Should be the foremost pursued aspect of your marketing. Everything you do should be a picture of something you want to sell, an experience you want someone to have. I want you to experience this room. I want you to experience my salon, my store, my business, my products, my whatever it is, my food, my hotels, my town. I want you to experience it. I want you to see a picture and you can't wait to come see it. You want to be part of that picture. You have to get into that. And then you've got to make sure that your marketing closes the sale. I'm still a traditionalist. Print is not dead. We still do travel brochures. We still do guides. We still do that advertising. It's still out there. It's just changed significantly as far as what the content is and how we design it. It's a lot more pictures, a lot more information, and it's all designed to tie to our website and to social media. We've got to make sure that we get everything tied together so that our website closes the deal. We have 5 million visitors a month on Travel Wisconsin. We wanted our website to close the deal. We want that to be the clearinghouse of everything there is to do in Wisconsin. Everything we do is to drive that traffic there, to get that link going through it. Because we know this is where your popularity lies. Who's on Facebook? Whether it's personally or professionally. How about professionally only? Okay. Do you need to be on social media? Okay. Yes, you do. Yes. And it's not a campaign saying Facebook's the only monster out there, because there's a lot more monsters in the room. You may not know exactly what that tool is you need, and some of the tools you need probably didn't exist a couple years ago. We just went to there last summer. Who's on Snapchat? How many of you have kids? Same hands went up. I can figure out why you're on Snapchat. See? Yep. I'm on Snapchat. Why? Because I have kids. Okay? Didn't know anything about Snapchat until I had kids. We launched a Snapchat filter last 4th of July weekend in Wisconsin. Multiple places wanted to test the waters. Best response we've ever had on social media with anything we've ever done ever to the wrong people. My 14-year-old daughter comes running downstairs, "Dad, check it out!"
It's gone.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's ours. Neat. You just did this. Yeah. Show me how this works. Then I got into Snapchat. Now, since kids are traveling with their parents, and parents, we're getting involved in Snapchat, there's the new elephant in the room. We just haven't figured out exactly, now that there's video options, different things happening into it, it's definitely changing up our opportunities with it, and it's also trackable, bless you. It's also trackable, so we know that there's some opportunities there as well. But, you know, what's happening today may not be happening tomorrow, it may be changing. Yes, right now Facebook rules the world. Just does. The messaging, the ability to get out there. You know, we put a video on YouTube, it gets a few hundred views, a few hundred likes. We put it on Facebook, it gets 2 million. We know what's working. We also know that it's a 30-second video, and we've got 7 seconds to make it perform. And now it's down to 15 seconds, and we've got 3 seconds to make it perform. And there's businesses out there that are doing 3-second videos and claiming that they're working phenomenally. 3-second videos. What can you do in 3 seconds? Huh? Oh, yes. Yeah. See? And what's your demographic to it?
Actually, I just learned about it from another studio, but Boomerang, you can do it on Instagram and share it to Facebook.
Yep.
But it's a little snap video of a movement, an action, a product,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
And it's just as
It
quick.
keeps repeating itself.
Yep. Yep. Coffee. Coffee. I mean, it's that, yeah. It's amazing where we're at. 80% of all internet traffic is video. 80%. Think about that. Everything that's online right now is to show you video. That's what we consume. I'm an Amazon, Netflix guy, and I don't understand how I got there. Don't know when it happened. Somehow I just woke up one day and those apps are on and now I'm addicted. They got me. Hey, does your website perform? Now what I mean by perform is not do you have a website. If I go on to all of the social or all of the feeds, does your website perform in the same aspects of, we know Google. Google is Google. Firefox has changed, Bing, Internet Explorer. Things have changed a little bit in some of those other ones. They keep changing the parameters, they keep changing the analytics, they keep changing the algorithms to how well you perform. I will tell you right now, we just had a meeting in the past week about Google and the changes as it relates to Travel Wisconsin, which is our biggest, that's our initiative. They've changed the entire platform again in Google, video, imagery, and frequency. How often are we posting new content and stories? Right now we're posting 3 stories per day. We have writers that are writing news stories, articles about places to go, things to do. We are publishing 3 a day. We are putting up anywhere from 40 to 50 new photographs a day. And I mean photographs, high resolution photographs. No more right-click save. If your website is comprised of right-click save, Google's actually shoving you further down. The addition of bad photos is actually putting you below the people with no photos, believe that. So you gotta be careful now. Your site really has to be up there. I'm almost done. Make sure with your website though that it is your #1 component. Okay, get yourself focused. If you don't have a website and you're basing it all on a Facebook page, that's fine too. There are businesses that are doing that. But just make sure that you're controlling that page, that all your products are there, that's what you're controlling, that is your messaging, that's your marketing. And are you using all the possible resources out there? Do you have the video? If you're in the tourism industry, dining, lodging, attractions, entertainment, are you on travelwisconsin.com? There's the benefit of being a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Guess who loads all that content for all the things to see and do? Yep, raise your hand, wave to the crowd. There you go. Okay? There's my shout out to the Chamber. Your membership has other benefits you don't even realize. I don't load content on the website. I go out and tell you can load your content on the website. You'll send me an email, I send it to her, she puts it in. That's how it works. We've got 185 partners around the state just like who load that stuff in every day and keep it up to speed, keep it content ready, content friendly. That's the importance of working as a team. Again, there's even more. 80% of the people that are coming into your community are on social media. If they're not on it before they got here, they're on here when they got here. They started posting pictures, they started looking at more information. Google probably led them into many of these, and that's how they got here. Last part, repetition. Da-dun-dun-dun-dun. What's that? McDonald's. Okay. See the USA and your Chevrolet. We can go on and on. There's all these. Unless you've been doing it for a very long time, slogans, logos are ridiculous. Continuity is wonderful, but just creating a slogan and a unique look for the heck of creating one, the social media part of it and the message and the experience trump that every time. People put so much focus into, I want to create a brand. Okay, what is your brand? Well, it's one of those things. No, it's not. It's who you are. It's the experience I have when I walk in the door of your business. That's the brand. That's your brand. How you treat your customers is your brand. This is not your brand. This is what happens when you stick to something for a very long time. A very long time. We started right there, right? Everybody knows what those are. They haven't changed the look of the crayon wrapper in ever. They just change up the new names of crayons. Gotta love it. How many of you even thought about Crayola crayons being a brand? But you see it there and you realize, yep, you could spot that anywhere, no matter who you are. It's a frequency issue, keeping it out there all the time. Now, if you want to have a deciding brand, you want to have a recognizable look, that's something you earn from doing it all the same way, from having that reputation. Yeah, I know, I'm almost done. See, told you. I want to thank you guys. I'm sorry, I went a couple minutes over, but I want to thank you guys for this. I hope there's some information in here that you found interesting, found useful for your business. It's not just tourism, it's economic development, it is your business in general. And I want to thank you for everything you do. So, any questions? If not, have a wonderful day.